This is the video for Monday, March 15th. This is our first day of in-person instruction, so we took it really slow because we didn't know exactly what that would look like. And you're watching this video because you were not in. Students are going to be watching this virtually. And I'll talk to you about what we did. So we're looking at like we did last week, but we're going to take a really expansive view of that this week. Oh yeah, that's students. So first, we talked about when you stand by a product, when you feel really good about something that you buy. And I did this with restaurants because we tend to have a really emotional relationship with restaurants and other businesses. And I asked students, what's the best burger in town? The pizza in town, what are businesses you stand by? The best way to buy products or services, if you can, is to do it through this personal lens. Seek referrals from people you trust, build a relationship with the business itself. But we can't always do that. And sometimes we move out into a larger space where we don't necessarily know much about the products that we seek. That is where I am trying to meet you today with this brief lesson on scams. So when you're being used, think about it. When advertisers are using you. Example from Friends, where Phoebe talks about lather, rinsing, and repeating on shampoo bottles. A lot of kids don't really know that as much anymore. It was a bigger deal maybe in the 90s, where product developers realized if they wrote repeat on the back of their consumable product, a consumable is something that goes down the drain, then people would use twice as much of it. So it's not a scam. It's just a little dishonest, making people do something they didn't really have to do in order for the company to make more money. And then we looked at a Parks and Rec clip where this woman is trying, Annabelle, I can't remember her last name, Annabelle is trying to sell this concept of beef milk from cows, which is basic milk. But because she's trying to make it sound fancy, she can sell it for a lot more. So a lot of this is just being savvy, being a wise consumer, and buying products without being seduced by these kinds of ideas. And we looked at the last example was a college that uses this really misleading statistic at the end of its video. Again, I can't show you any of the videos because of copyright, but in the video, in the commercial, they say 90% of their graduates have a career in their fields by graduation. Well, they lost the lawsuit because it's not exactly true. 90% of their graduates had jobs, but it didn't necessarily mean it had anything to do with their degrees. There's one case where a woman had a degree in health sciences management, and she had a job as a waitress. And they said, that's a job. 90% have jobs. That's great, right? But the woman and others like her didn't need the college degree to get those jobs. So they used some statistics to try to mislead for the purposes of enrollment. And that is what we want to be careful about when you're being used. Then, to take this to the fullest example, the fullest extent, we looked at scams. A scam is a dishonest scheme or fraud. It's different than just not liking a product. If you order something that comes, you're not a fan. It's not a scam necessarily, it just means it wasn't a match. But a scam is where they're actively trying to mislead you to get your money. And there often is a product or service at the end of it. Famous examples recently, the Fire Festival, which was a massive scam where a man was really charismatic and really convinced people of it, planned to have this amazing party down in the Bahamas, a weekend-long music festival with all of these incredible musicians, gourmet tents and food, and the finest sort of music festival experience that one can imagine. And he charged lots of money, and people paid it. But when they got down to the islands, there was nothing. Oh, there was something, but it was nothing like what he had promised. So it was a scam. And it's interesting because the guy at the heart of that, Bobby McFarland, I don't know that he thought he was misleading people. I think he actually thought he could pull it off. And that's often true of people at the top of these schemes. They're not necessarily aware that they're performing this scheme. They believe they're lying to themselves. they believe that they can somehow turn it around. But you don't need to fall prey to their strange lack of self-awareness. Ponzi schemes are the biggest example of that. Ponzi scheme is a pyramid scheme where the people at the top of the pyramid take money from their first set of investors and then the next set of investors. And every single time they get a new investor and new money, they can pay off the very first people who came on board. So in that way, they are getting some money to people, but they're getting it from the people at the bottom. And of course, they make the most. Like I said, often Ponzi schemes, the people at the center of them, Bernie Madoff is the most recent famous example. He believes he could somehow make returns. He could absolutely make money this way, and he was waiting for the day that he could pay everybody. But of course, the whole thing was built on a lie, on a house of cards. A pyramid scheme, I spelled pyramid wrong there, pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes are the same. It's different than multi-level marketing or MLMs, which can be a little sketchy, but sometimes have successful business models that work. Examples are Mary Kay, Stella and Dot, Tupperware parties. My sister goes to the leggings thing, where she pays for the product and that goes to the person selling them, who then pays the company. But the difference there, an important difference, is she's getting a real product that she loves. It's an MLM, a multi-level marketing plan, but everybody emerges with the thing they thought they would get. So she's welcome to do it. It's just that they both have this pyramid structure. Pyramid schemes, another way to put it, are MLMs, multi-level marketing schemes, gone bad. So a lot of these clips are really helpful, might help you understand it. You can go back through this slideshow and click on them on your own device.
So, Phil,
can't let that play. So what can you do? Research. Just a little bit of research usually reveals the scams. Talk to people. That is our STEM. Before you research to avoid scams, while you research to avoid scams,